Hey there, I'm Rick Barker, and welcome to 25 Minutes from Nashville. And this weekend, I was watching a lot of the footage come in from the George Strait show in Dallas. The cowboy rides away. 104,000 people piled in to AT&T Stadium to say their farewells to King George. And a lot of stars were on hand, and throughout the year as he was making these final appearances, people were reminiscing on things about George Strait. And I got to thinking, what are some of the lessons that I learned from George Strait? Now, many of you might be asking, how the heck have you spent time with George Strait? Well, I didn't spend a lot of quality personal time with George. I actually spent about 46 tour dates with George Strait. That was the very first tour that I was on as manager for Taylor Swift, and some of the things that I learned and some of the questions I was able to ask and some of the relationships that I was able to make is kind of why I am the person that I am today. One of the things that I learned as I walk around and you talk to his staff and you talk to his band, a lot of those people have been with him for a very, very long time. And I think that goes back to kind of like that old rule, just treat people well. You know, be nice to folks. These people wanted to come to work every day. These people gave up time with their families in order to be out on the road. Yes, it's very, quote unquote glamorous to be out on the road, but it's very tough also. But as you hear the stories, he just took care of his people. And you could see that. It was a happy tour. Now, I've been on many tours, and a lot of them aren't so happy, but this was a very happy tour. I remember one of the things that I also learned from George was the power of family. Norma, every night she would be out. They had a little area that she would sit, and she was always so generous to allow us to come up and sit with her, and she would watch him every night. Now, you can only imagine how many times she's heard these songs, but there she was supporting her man right there at the stage. It would be fun to look every so often, when Taylor was still on stage, and see George standing off to the side just kind of checking it out. He didn't say a lot. He wasn't a very outspoken person, at least with us, but his gestures said a ton. He would come out and he'd take a peek, and we were fed well and we were taken care of. We also had the opportunity at that point to utilize a lot of his guys, and one of the things that I learned from the George Strait tour was that you don't have to settle. I remember George plays his shows in the round, and what that means is that he has 4 microphones placed around his stage, and he sings a song at one and he goes to another and sings a song. And Taylor, being the opening act, it was Taylor, Ronnie Milsap, then George Strait. She only had 5 songs that she was able to do anyway. So the round wasn't necessarily going to work for her as far as being able to connect with the fans. So we asked if we could go to a headset. And a lot of people fought us on it. But what we were able to do at that point, and what we didn't realize, is getting to wear that headset, getting to go to the camera, getting to the camera sometimes in an arena is just as good as getting to a person. If you can make that eye contact and you can make them feel like they're a part of what you're doing, you need to be able to get to that camera. That's what she was able to do. What we didn't realize was that was going to be the training for her when she ultimately met Tim McGraw at the ACM Awards, when she put on the headset, she walked down, and she introduced herself to Tim and Faith. So a lot of practice there. Something else I learned from George Strait and his tour was the fact that you need to tell an audience what it is that you want them to do from the stage. And I'm just not talking about repeat after me kind of stuff. I'm talking about planting the seed for the meet and greet, planting the seed for the after show. I remember when we started, I reached out to Messina, who was the promoter at the time, and I was trying to figure out about what we would do in merchandise. And when he told me the number, all he could really compare it to was Miranda Lambert at the time. I said to myself when I heard the numbers, I'm like, boy, we need to do a lot more than that. And we did, because what Taylor did is she told the audience what she wanted them to do. She told them where she was going to be. She told them how special they were. She just didn't say things like most artists, like, you guys are great. She was like, you guys are great, and I want to meet each and every one of you that wants to meet me, and this is where I'll be after the show. And if you can't make it, I have autographed CDs, and if you pick one up, you'll be my new best friend. I mean, she told them, she talked to them, she communicated with them. I still don't see a lot of that, even today, when going to shows. So that's one of the things we learn. Don't be afraid to communicate with your audience in a way that's just not the typical way that most artists talk to folks on stage. And the last lesson that I learned from the George Strait tour is you never know who's going to become that person that changes your life. I mentioned Louis Messina. Louis is George Strait's promoter. He's actually Kenny Chesney's promoter and now Taylor Swift's promoter. But at the time, Louis, I just spent a lot of time with Louis. I got a chance to ask him questions. I got a lot of opportunity to learn the touring side of the business. And later on, it would be Louis who ultimately gave me the chance when it came to bringing my family to Nashville, and I won't go too far into detail in the story, but I had come up on some financial situations and I needed to get to Nashville. I knew that once I got to Nashville, everything would be okay. A lot of the things that I had lined up had fallen through. And Louis and I got on the phone and we talked. And it was Louis the next day that sent a check to me. And basically it said, go make it rain. He used to call me a little Rainmaker. And it was that check that allowed me to get to Nashville, that allowed me to be okay for a couple months to get myself situated. And the rest is kind of history from that point. I ended up signing on with Sony. Everything just kind of took care of itself. But it was that relationship that I made out on that George Strait tour that not only changed my life as a young manager and taught me a lot of things, but it also changed my life as a person. And it's to King George that I will forever be grateful, and I appreciate the life lessons. I can only hope Jill and I are together as long as him and Norma. So there it is, 25 minutes from Nashville, what I learned from George Strait. And if you have any questions whatsoever about the music business, I offer a couple cool things on the website. I've got a free video series called The 5 Secrets to Making It in the Music Business. And I also have a free copy of my ebook, The $150,000 Music Degree. And that is available to you as well at musicindustryblueprint.com. Have yourself a great day, and we'll chat soon. See ya.